Hey everyone, and welcome to this quick build guide on my Elemental Hit Raider. I'm playing in the Necropolis League. We are currently level 93. I'll just start off by showing you a quick map showcase. Alright, got a nice area. I apologize for my slight lag when I'm loading. I think it's something to do with shaders, but anyway, here we are. So this is a slightly more tanky take on the normal stereotypical very squishy bow build. I thought since I'm playing a raider, might as well lean a bit more into the tankiness since we have easy way to get spell suppression and um, elemental element avoidance. So yeah, we're a little bit more tanky than I'm used to playing on like Deadeye uh, kobolds. Our damage are very slightly less, nothing too bad, but we are much more survivable. I'm gonna try and get this build up to probably like level 97, just for my personal best for a bow build. I know that's not that high, but I normally give up on leveling kobolds since they die so easily. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but for me, dying a lot is very demoralizing. Um, I'd rather just re-roll a bunch of builds than just keep grinding it out, but I feel like this one has the potential to make it up very high. So we're using Elemental Hit of the Spectrum. It's the new alt quality gem that they added. Uh, the main thing that makes this different than the normal elemental hit is that it can do damage of all three elemental types at once, where the old standard elemental hit, I should say, can only do one of the elements at a time. So this makes it so we can actually use a bow and scale it with Trinity. Sorry, we can actually use a bow that has all three elemental damage types on it and scale it with Trinity support very effectively. Um, I want to quit the map showcase right here so we can go and look at some of our gear and stuff. Alright, so we have Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, as I said. We have Returning Projectiles. I found this to be very fun with Elemental Hit of the Spectrum since it has a little explosion whenever you hit an enemy, does an area damage around them, and just more projectiles means more explosions and more clear, so that's very fun for me. The Returning Projectiles, because we have Returning Projectiles, we need to make sure we have Pierce, because if you don't have Pierce with Returning Projectiles, it will not be nearly as effective. If you use Mirage Archer, that'd be good. I personally don't like Mirage Archer that much. It's the best support gem for bow builds, I feel like, but um, you can use something like Inspiration or Critical Damage. I'm using Trinity, as I said, and then Elemental Damage with attacks. So Trinity um, works by making sure we have resonance, meaning you do roughly the equal amount of all of the elemental types of damage. So lightning is obviously going to be a little bit higher since its range is low end and high end is very far apart. But then if you equal it out, it will roughly be um, the same amount of each type. Doesn't have to be exact, but if you overdo a specific elemental type, for example, if your bow doesn't have fire damage on this, it will very likely land you in a position where you don't do enough fire damage to proc your resonance. So just keep that in mind. So as I said, I'm trying to be a little bit more tanky, trying to get my physical damage reduction up. I also have very high bait chance, 86%. So I'm using Boto's Devotion. The reason why I like it a lot for this build is the high armor and evasion on it, and it reduces your global physical damage. But if you read Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, it doesn't do any non-elemental damage, so you can basically ignore the downside of this helmet, and then Chaos Rays and the movement speed. Very nice for me personally. Then just to quickly go over the bow again, ideally you would have wanted, instead of projectile speed, critical strike chance on this. That will have increased the damage by quite a bit. As it increases our base critical strike chance, it will make us do a lot more damage. Let's just go over here. So we have a 100% chance to hit, which is important for for crit base builds. But you can see our critical strike chance without flasks and stuff is 39%. With a base crit roll, this will go up into the 60s very easily. And ideally we would want some more crit multiplier, but that's just having maybe gear with crit multi on it. I only have it on my amulet for now. Alright, so if you don't want to do the determination more tanky version of the build, you can swap this gem out just for anger. It'll give you a decent bit more damage. I'm quickly gonna jump to Path of Building just to show you. So this is currently set up for a Guardian Pinnacle boss. We have 777,000 DPS. I'm playing on SSF, so this, I mean, you could make this a lot higher with better gear, but it's just an idea. And then if you go ahead and you go to change determination, swap it out with anger, so you'll have about almost 100,000 on my setup more DPS. So you can go ahead and do that. I just like the little bit more tanky playstyle, since we are fully elemental ailment, avoid cap, we are spell suppression cap, um, and we have pretty high mitigation stats in general with 4k HP, so we don't die as much. The one thing you'll never really be able to fix on this build is your um, recovery. Obviously, if you're fighting, you're killing things, we have instant leech, and we have decent leech chance and leech rate. But as soon as you are um, not attacking something, or you're not killing something or doing a lot of damage to it, you're gonna struggle to sustain a little bit. But that's the case with most bow builds, since we don't have inherent like HP regen. As you can see, it's very slow. All right, so just quickly, my flasks. I'm using a Stibnite flask and a Jade flask, um, just to make sure our evasion is capped, because avoidance is still the best mitigation. Ideally, if you have enough critical strike chance, you can swap out the diamond flask with maybe a basalt flask or something that gives you a little bit more armor to round off the tankiness. And then if you feel happy with the movement speed of the build, you can also swap out the quicksilver flask if you don't feel like it makes enough of a difference for you. It's just a habit for me to play with it like this. We're also using mana forged arrows with life tap. The reason just because our mana sustain becomes a little bit of a problem, but this way it just shoots out our life pool pretty much. And then power charge on crit with frenzy. So this will give us power charges and frenzy charges. So I spec into one extra of each, just because it's easy access. And this node also gives you a little bit more evasion, so it was just efficient for me to do it that way. And then I have Blink Arrow for whenever Frost blinks on cooldown. We have Grace as our defensive aura, Blood Rage just for a bit more attack speed. And then we have Mark on Heat also with life tap with Sniper's Mark. Also for mana, because it costs a pretty large amount of mana to cast the Sniper's Mark. Obviously it costs more life, because life tap is more uh, mana multiplier, 300 times more, but still it's very expensive casted with mana. And then determination, as we spoke about, precision, and then I also have like a boss damage setup that I use with focus ballista, ballista totem, lightning arrow, just because I like the look of lightning arrow, critical damage, and barrage support. So it will look something like this. Whenever you attack, it will attack with you. This is also nice because it's kind of a another target for enemies to focus, and they attack the totem sometimes, so it gives you some more space creation between you and the enemy. Then for the rest of the gear, I'm just capping out my stats because we are starved a little bit for strength and int on this build. Just doing that, getting life resistances, elemental damage of attacks if you can, crit multi. The bow, sorry, the quiver really needs to be upgraded. As we said, we can't use physical damage, so that's a dead stat effectively on that, um, which could have been maybe life or crit multi or something to that extent. You can also get bow attacks, fire additional arrow on your bow and your quiver. Personally, I don't like it when I fire an even amount of arrows. Because if you fire an uneven amount, there's always an arrow in the middle of where you're aiming to fire. If you fire an uneven amount, there's like a gap, and that doesn't feel good to me. Oh, and then just lastly, going over the boots, I'm using the three-step assault boots just to cap our elemental avoidance. We always have phasing from our ascendancy, so we're going quartz infusion for phasing, spell suppression, and then elemental avoidance while phasing, so we're 50% there. We have 30% there, so that brings us to 80, and then we get the last 20 by this life wheel right there. So that's how we get our elemental element, and then sorry, elemental element avoidance. Then here we have onslaught and onslaught effect. I just like this because it's a little bit more consistent and always up than the frenzy setup. Plus with this setup, I personally feel forced to invest a lot more in frenzy charges, and maybe try to find a way to get this one over here, where this is just easy functional and always there. Um, oh, just quickly jumping back to Path of Building, we are helping Alera as our bandit, just to make the resistance cap a little bit easier. And then I just wanted to show you the future for what my plan is to get a boots that has the shaper influence on it, because that can roll on item level 81. It can roll elemental avoidance on it. So that will then be a way for us to replace these boots, get that elemental avoidance roll on it. Hopefully we get spell suppression on it as well. Currently I have spec'd some of these nodes just to get me to 100%. So if I get that roll and maybe get a roll on my armor piece, I just currently have a corrupted 6 link because SSAF live. Then you can take these 3 nodes and maybe spec them into these right here. And then last thing on my skill tree, I am using some cluster uh, cluster jewels. This one is just the first one I've been able to get with 3 stats that has um, large notables on it. This one I think is pretty nice. It doesn't show on a tooltip, but this one's nice because we do inflict all the ailments. So this will give you a large increase in damage whenever you are fighting. I like the area of damage thing. Ideally, for my sake, I would have liked Prismatic Heart to be over here, just for the elemental resistances. There's a few other good ones on elemental damage, 8 passives you can try if you want. And then I just had a duel with the projectile damage. I went for Repeater Streamlined. That's just this one, I think, just the most damage, attack speed and damage. And this one is basically just flat damage because we get projectile speed applies as damage with bows on our bow mastery. Then I went for a crit, medium cluster, which I took the quick hitting away, just more attack speed, movement speed. Because we crit so much, we always have that movement speed when we're fighting, and crit chance, and then more area effect and crit multi. Yeah, and then the rest of my jewels are just the best ones I could get. Reduce curse effects, nice to have. Crit multi is basically all this one has. Uh, that one has maim, life, accuracy, which I don't need anymore. And then this one can be replaced. And then this one again, life, projectile damage, crit multi. Crit multi and life is the main stats you want on your jewels. And then ideally you want to corrupt one that gives you corrupting blood immunity. Currently I just have it on my life log. Alright, I think that's everything. Hope this was useful to you guys. Hope you enjoy this playstyle, a little bit different take on the bow build with the elemental heat of the spectrum. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments and like if this was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one.